Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with a video on the most fantastic chess moves of all time. It's 1998, we are in Linares in Andalusia in Spain, and the game Topalov Shirov is being played, which inspired both the Dutch chess writer Tim Krabbe as well as the British chess magazine to make a collection of the most fantastic moves ever played. Krabbe came up with 110 fantastic moves and British Chess Magazine made 50. And of course their lists were not the same, but it was interesting to see that in their top 10 they had 7 moves that were on both lists. In this video I will show you the move from this game, from the Topalov Shirov game, which inspired to make these lists, and I will show you as well the number 1 from Krabbe's list and the number 1 from the British Chess Magazine's list. Let's get started. This is the position after 43 c takes d5. The queens have just been swapped, and it's in the game between Veselin Topalov with white and Alexei Shirov with black. Linares, Spain, 4th of March 1998. We are in an endgame, opposite colored bishops. Black has 2 extra pawns, which could be enough for the win or could be just enough for a draw because of the bishops of opposite colors. Very complicated position. The analysis I give here, I have depended a lot on the analysis from Grandmaster John van der Wiel from the Dutch magazine Schaaknieuws. Let's have a look how this game continued. Bishop d2. From white, attacking the a5 pawn, so a4 from Shirov, bishop c3 from Topalov, controlling both the d and the a pawn from there. King f7, of course also the pawn on f6 was attacked, so black plays king f7 to protect that pawn. What black is trying to do here is create a second front on the king side. His bishop can then attack the white pawns, or he can create a third pass pawn which will be enough to win. This means that the white king has to stay on the king side, which will enable the black king to enter through the center or the queen side. What white wants to do is set up his pawns in the g3 h4 formation and also keep black's king out. That's important to understand this game. That's why Topalov played h4. If he had played king g1 instead, then there would have been g5, which would be a little success for black in carrying out his plan. After h4, Shirov played king e6. And now it's not good to set up that formation g3 h4 straight away, because if you play g3 here, then there is bishop g4, king g2, king f5, king f2, and king e4, and the black king has entered white's position. This is winning for black. So after king e6, Topalov played king g1 instead, and now comes one of the most fantastic moves ever played, bishop h3. What is this? Just putting the bishop on a square where it can be taken by a pawn. One of the ideas of the move is it gains a tempo so that the black king can enter. Let's first have a quick look at if you don't take the bishop, but play king f2, then black plays king f5, that square is now vacant for the king, and either the black king enters white's position or the g2 pawn will get lost. So that doesn't work for white. So Topalov took the bishop, king f5, king f2, and king e4. Another fantastic move. Black has to sacrifice the f pawn as well to win this game. Bishop takes f6. If you don't take the pawn, but for example play king e2 in a desperate attempt to keep the black king out, then there is f5, and the 3 passed pawns are too much to handle for white. So bishop takes f6 and d4, cutting off the bishop. And now the threat is a3 and that pawn will promote. So bishop e7, king d3, bishop c5, another great move, king c4 with a crucial tempo on the bishop. This is the only move that wins. Bishop e7 and king b3. And here Topalov resigned. He cannot stop both pawns. Let's have a quick look. King e2 makes sense, then king c2. Bishop b4 to control the d2 square, but it doesn't matter. d3 check, king e3, d2. And you have to take that pawn, and then a3, and that pawn will go through to queen and wins the game for black. As I said, I used the analysis from Grandmaster John van der Wiel, who concluded this game with saying that this was pure art. So, a wonderful endgame, and the icing on the cake was of course the bishop h3 move, putting the bishop en prise on h3, winning a crucial tempo, and this won the game for Alexei Shirov. Let's go to the next one. Stepan Levitsky against Frank Marshall, a Russia versus USA clash. And it was British Chess Magazine who put this game on #1 of their list of most fantastic moves ever played. It was played in Breslau, which is now Wrocław, in Poland, on July 20th, 1912, during the Masters tournament of the DSB Congress. And legend has it that after Marshall's winning last move of the game, gold coins were tossed onto the board by spectators. The game is also known as American Beauty. Let's see what happened in this game. Stepan Levitsky, white, Frank Marshall, black. This is the position after knight c6 to d4 from black. Position is about equal, material is equal. That rook on d5 is attacked by the pawn, but not really, because if the pawn would take the rook, then the rook on e8 is unprotected. And if Levitsky had played queen e4 here, then that would keep everything together for white. But he made a mistake. He played queen h5. That move is attacking the rook on e8 so that the rook on d5 cannot be taken. But black has a strong move, rook ef8. Now white's rook is hanging. And also black has a winning attack. Rook e5 was played by Levitsky and rook h6 from Marshall. Kicking the queen, queen went to g5 and rook takes h3, wins a piece. If you take that rook, there is knight f3 check with a fork on king and queen. King g2, knight takes g5, rook takes g5, and if we count, black has won a queen for a rook. So after rook takes h3, Levitsky played rook c5, attacking black's queen, and here comes one of the most fantastic moves ever played. Queen g3, and as said, the legend is that now spectators threw gold coins on the board. What an amazing move, what a pretty picture. The threat is queen takes h2 checkmate, so white has to do something against that. And the queen, the black queen, can be taken in 3 different ways. Let's have a look. Taking with the h-pawn doesn't work because of knight e2 checkmate. Taking with the f-pawn doesn't work either because of knight e2 check, king h1, and rook takes f1 checkmate, a nice back rank mate. And taking with the queen, then there is knight e2 check, king h1 only move, knight takes queen check, and if you take with the f-pawn, then again rook takes f1 is checkmate. And if you play king g1, then simply knight takes f1, g takes h3, and the knight goes to d2, and black is a piece up with a winning endgame. Let's try one last move for white after the queen g3 move. Let's try queen e5. That also protects against the checkmate on h2. But then there is another wonderful move. Knight f3 check. Look at this picture. Those three pieces there on the third rank. King h1 is the only move, and then rook takes h2 is checkmate. Absolutely wonderful, and a worthy number one from the British chess magazine list. Amazing game. Levitsky, Marshall, Breslau, 1912. Let's look at the third fantastic move. This one is voted number one in the list from Tim Krabbe. It's from the USSR, the Soviet Union Championship 1956. Yuri Averbakh against Boris Spassky. The game is from the playoff for first place. There were three players who joined first after the regular tournament: Taimanov, Spassky and Averbakh. In the main tournament, Spassky and Averbakh were 1.5 points ahead of Taimanov with 3 rounds to play, but Taimanov caught them and also clinched the title in the playoff. Let's take this game from the start. White Averbakh, black Spassky, 1956. c4, knight f6, knight c3, g6, e4, d6, d4, bishop g7, bishop e2, Spassky castled, bishop g5, c5, d5 closing the position, queen a5, bishop d2, a6, a4, e5 really closing the center, g4, knight e8, h4, f5, h5, f4, g5, queen d8, bishop g4, knight c7, the bishop were swapped, bishop takes, queen takes, and knight f3. We're 16 moves into the game. White is much better. Black has no break moves, has no moves to break free, to open up the position, to give his pieces some space. And here comes one of the most fantastic moves ever played from former world champion Boris Spassky. Here he played knight b8 to c6, putting the knight en prise there. It's objectively bad, but black is so passive and cramped and has no plan to break free. The psychological effect of this move worked, as Averbakh now took 55 minutes for his next move. He took in the end, Spassky took back, and here Spassky said later that white could have played h6 and then bishop h8, and Spassky said this is really 2 pieces up for white because he didn't count his poor bishop in the corner. Of course the position is completely closed, but Spassky still felt that white should find a way to win here with his extra piece and his almost 2 extra pieces if we count the bishop on h8 out of the game. But Averbakh played knight h4. I'll show you a few more moves. Queen e8 from Spassky, h take g6, h take g6, queen g4 and rook b8. Black tries to get something going on the half-open b file. Of course he has a pawn majority in the center, but objectively white is winning here with his extra piece. The game went on for another 55 moves, and at some stage Spassky was even better, and in the end the game ended in a draw. But this game is famous because of Boris Spassky's knight b8 to c6 on the 16th move. An incredible move, just putting a knight on a square that's attacked by a pawn in the opening. About his #1 greatest move, Spassky wrote to Krabbe and he said, "I have played 16 knight c6 because I did not see any other practical resources, because my position was so passive. I was very surprised that Yuri Averbakh was thinking for 55 minutes after that move. I considered that after 17 d takes c6, b takes c6, h6, bishop h8, white would be 2 pieces up and they could manage to win very easily." Mark Taimanov, the number 3 in this playoff, said, "I would rather resign the game than make such a move." Quite interesting. Hope you enjoyed this video on the most fantastic moves ever played. Let me know if you liked it. If you did, I will make a series out of it, because as I said, there's a lot more material. Krabbe has 110 most fantastic moves and British Chess Magazine came up with 50. And of course this was done in 1998. So since then, a lot more most fantastic moves ever have been played. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel, and I'm looking forward to seeing your comments. You also may want to check my Chess to Progress channel, where I have a lot of material. One of the things I do there is analyze games from viewers who send me those games by email. This is Rick from Chess to Impress. Thank you very much for watching.